Now, you might be asked by your boss, your manager, or your team to deliver a talk about something. It all happens to us every once in a while. Now, maybe it's a progress report of some kind, or you're outlining a project that you are working on, or maybe you want to work on. Now, regardless of how you decide to deliver this information, you generally know three things. You know how much time you have to prepare your talk, whether it's tomorrow or next week or a few months from now. You know how long your presentation should be, whether you've got 5 minutes to give this talk, 20, you're going to be keynoting for an hour. And the third thing is you should have a pretty good idea of who your audience will be. And it's this third point that is key. Understanding who your audience is needs to be a huge part of your preparation. If you can tailor your presentation to fit the experience level and the interests of your audience, they're going to retain so much more. They're going to get so much value out of it. And in the end, they'll be more apt to take action in whatever action you present there. Now, as I was preparing this presentation, I wanted to reach out to some people that have given lots of talks on their own, whether it's with their different teams or on stage. So I reached out to some friends of mine on Twitter to get their advice. Now, one of the first people I heard back from is Alita Solis. Alita is head of digital strategy at WooRank. And the one tip that she wanted to share with people giving presentations is to know your audience and shape your presentation accordingly to make it useful and actionable to them. Also, leverage storytelling. Now, basically, this echoes that first point that I made. If your presentation isn't relevant to the audience, it's not going to be effective. Now, let's take a real business scenario where preparation like this becomes a real factor. So, say you're a freelancer, and a friend of yours tells you about a local business that needs a new site. I mean, you look at their site and it's woefully out of date, and you know that you can do so much better. And I think this is kind of a classic example for a lot of devs and developers out there, right? So you decide to approach them, right? So I'm going to pick on a local business here, which I actually love. No disrespect to the Beefy King, but here in Orlando, the Beefy King website is not responsive. The images and the usability could be improved. Maybe they could add some nice features like an online ordering app. That might be something that they could use that I know maybe some other restaurants have. Now, the mistake that some freelancers make, if they want to approach a business like this, is to fire off a general boilerplate sort of pitch, like where they talk about who they are, maybe a couple of the skills they have, and then they leave it with, contact us for a quote. This isn't all that compelling, right? What you're really doing is taking this sort of lean back approach, and you're relying on the potential client to put all the pieces together to come to the same conclusion that you did, right? That they need a new site and that you're well suited to it. Don't make them do all the work here, all right? If you know your audience, and of course, here they are on their website, why settle for a generic pitch when you can tailor something specifically for them, okay? Research your audience and identify their needs. These are two key points that I want to make about preparation of any presentation or pitch. Research the potential client. Check out their website. Take a look at everything on there. And then take a look at their industry. Look at their competitors. See what their competitors have on their websites. What features they have, what content, stuff like that, right? And then speak to some of the needs that you identify within the pitch that you send them. So, you may do your research and you may discover that the customers at the Beefy King don't necessarily care about an online ordering app. It's an idea you had, it was worth pursuing, but unless it's, say, for catering and large parties or events, these guys don't specifically need it. But what they really want when they hit the site, and I'm talking about potential customers here for them, is, especially if they're on a mobile device, say, is they want quick access to location information, right? So maybe putting the map and the location on the homepage is better than burying it within the site. This could be a conclusion that you come to because you understand the potential client. And by understanding the audience, and their needs, you can better plan your approach. The same type of approach could be used during a job search. You don't want to send a generic cover letter to everyone, to every company about every opening that's out there. You should be customizing it based on the job description, their company, website, and so on. Another example, here on Authentic Jobs, they have a job opening from Charity Water, and there's a lot of detail in it, especially this section here, the must-haves, right? You can see point by point what kind of skills they're looking for in an applicant. They're spelled out for you right here. These are their needs. This is fantastic. If only you knew, if only all potential clients put out there what their must-haves are, what their needs were. This would be amazing, right? So when you pitch them, if you're going for this job, for example, on your qualifications, you don't ignore this stuff, especially when it's labeled must-haves, right? So refer to this or address it in some way so that they realize that you understand their needs. So are client pitches and job applications over email necessarily presentations in the classic sense? Not really, but the principles are very much the same. Knowing your audience, who they are, what they're interested in, is extremely important in this process of preparing something. Otherwise, the presentation is not going to resonate. It won't be as effective, and you won't get as many people to do what you want them to do.